Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Ministry of Local Government provides a day of learning to children of all ages. The Planning Minister says Trinidad and Tobago can learn a great deal from India as it seeks to become the location of choice for financial service operations. And the President urges members of the Defence Force to play their part in taking Trinidad and Tobago forward. Thank you for joining us. Children of all ages were treated to a once-in-a-lifetime learning experience as the Ministry of Local Government provided a day of learning on how this country became an independent nation. Local Government Minister Dr. the Honourable Surajratan Rambachan addressed the children, who he described as the future and the next 50 years of Trinidad and Tobago.
Focus was placed on children from various children homes and the children of staff members from the Ministry of Local Government at the ministry's headquarters located at Kent House in Maraval. This as the ministry, in celebrating Jubilee Independence, chose to include the children as part of an education drive aimed at sensitizing the youngsters on TNT's history. In addressing the Little Tots, Local Government Minister Surajratan Rambachan said lessons can be learned from the innocence children possessed.
Children are the future, and yet we do not do the things that will ensure that children understand and children get committed to creating the future. The future that we arrive in is not a future that we want others to create for us. We want to create that future, and it must be a future in which there is discipline, there is tolerance, there is productivity. It's a future in which there is unity, there is peace, there is love. It's a future in which Trinidad and Tobago will be so blessed that out of the earth of this country will be able to provide that which will feed all of us, clothe all of us, house all of us, shelter all of us, and provide an environment of safety and security for all of us.
He added that as Trinidad and Tobago moved forward into the future, these were the children who would become the next 50 years of our country.
What happens to Trinidad and Tobago is what you will give to Trinidad and Tobago in terms of discipline, tolerance, and production, as well as get together and aspire and achieve together for the common good of all. I want again to say that this is therefore a very symbolic occasion. For me, it almost symbolizes a handing over of the future to the children of Trinidad and Tobago over the next 50 years.
The eager young ones took the opportunity to express their interest in learning about Trinidad and Tobago through the book given to them.
I'm happy to come to work with my mom.
I'm very excited and I feel I will learn a lot. I haven't read any yet, but I will read.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
As celebrations continue in the build-up to this nation's 50th anniversary of independence, some Arouca residents are hopeful the commemoration will come in the form of granting the district of Arouca township status.
Members of the Arouca Township Committee say it is time Arouca be recognized as a town rather than a district. Chairman of the committee, Stan Huggins, says Arouca, because of its growing population, needs to emerge from the umbrella of the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation. Mr. Huggins insists that township status is necessary given the many services which are needed by persons in Arouca. He adds that the provision of these services will also aid in developing it from a district to a town.
The mission of the township is to create a faster delivery of services to the burgesses of Arouca. It being that the Tunapuna Regional Corporation is too large of a corporation to deal with the needs of Arouca. We have approximately 250,000 people living inside here. Borneo, Gardens, Borneo West, Kandahar, Arouca Central, Five Rivers, Oropon, Dabadi. Those are the areas I mentioned here. We want to make up the township of Arouca.
The Township Committee highlights that some of the services and buildings which Arouca needs include a trade school for youth, an administrative complex, a farmer's market, a fire station, hospital, sports stadium, public library, and a bus terminal. The committee has also already designed a flag for the town and will propose that the old police station be refurbished and used as the town hall. Mr. Huggins says letters detailing their request have been sent to the relevant government authorities and officials. He says they have since spoken to Minister in the Ministry of Finance, the Honourable Rudy Ndarsing, who who responded to their request and said the legal ramifications of the push for township status has to be examined before any further steps are taken. The Arouca Township Committee is working assiduously to get the process completed at least before the next local government elections in July 2013. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
The iPhone 4S has an all-new camera with 8 megapixels and advanced optics. So it lets you capture stunning photos. And because it's an iPhone, you can do things you never imagined possible with a camera. So maybe the only camera you need is the one on the most amazing iPhone yet.
University of the West Indies St. Augustine Principal Professor Clement Sankat says as this country celebrates healthy diplomatic relations with India, it is time for both countries to take a major leap into the future through the building of a deeper partnership. He was speaking at the Inheritance, Innovation and Continuity Conference and Exhibition, which opened at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine, where he reflected on the great contribution the cordial relations shared with India has had on the rich culture of Trinidad and Tobago.
This partnership must move beyond the strong cultural ties and deep bonds of friendship we have forged. We must maintain this. We must even deepen this. But we have to move forward. This is why I'm particularly pleased with the team chosen for this conference, Inheritance, Innovation, and Continuity, as these words not only underscore the importance for our countries to build upon our historical and ancestral ties, but it also encourages us to look to the future.
Professor Clement Sankat encouraging stronger ties between this country and India. He adds that there are great opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago to boost its technical cooperation, trade and investment linkages in building upon the strong cultural and fraternal links.
In Trinidad and Tobago, we have a highly educated and creative population with a skills base in industrial development, including experience in a global energy industry, one that has been also forged over 100 years. This, coupled with our energy supply, should place Trinidad and Tobago as a very attractive position for India's global commercial expansion.
Professor Sankat says the University of the West Indies is working towards strengthening the ties shared with India.
Our University of the West Indies has also been moving to deepen and expand its cooperation with India, and in particular with Indian higher education institutions. In fact, earlier this year, I was very fortunate to have had the opportunity to travel to India in an attempt to build this capacity of the UWI. We met with 15 leading and globally recognized higher education institutions. And while time does not permit me to elaborate, I must say our visit was very successful. So we at the UWI are looking to India to help build our capacity, develop new programs, and set up new ones, especially at the postgraduate research level, and even looking and exploring joint programs with Indian universities.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago can learn a great deal from India as it seeks to become the location of choice for financial service operations. This comes from Planning Minister Senator Dr. the Honorable Bowendranath Tiwari at the Inheritance, Innovation and Continuity Conference and Exhibition at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine, the conference marking 50 years of India, Trinidad and Tobago relations.
Trinidad and Tobago can therefore learn much from India as it seeks to become the location of choice in the region for right sourcing financial services operations. The vision of the Trinidad and Tobago international financial center.
Planning Minister Senator Dr. Bo Tiwari says Trinidad and Tobago's Indian ancestry can be deemed a national treasure. He was highlighting the great influence India has had on this country, stating that Trinidad and Tobago's Indian ancestry is of great value to its citizens.
This adaptation and integration of cultural practices has led to the development of a well-blended and distinctive national identity for Indians who are now citizens and contributors to the society, that all religions and races in this country today proudly embrace, and which in turn has been influenced in our own national and Caribbean environment by the other cultures and races and religions around it.
Dr. Tiwari says this country and India share similarities in tradition, foods, clothing, and customs. He says Trinidad and Tobago can benefit from India in many areas, particularly technology, science, food and agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, light engineering, and plastics.
As one of the fastest growing economies in the world over the past decade, India has emerged as a global player with the world's fourth largest economy in purchasing power parity terms, and as one of the most attractive destinations globally for investments as well as business. Not only is it an emerging economic power, as a member of the BRICS, it has also experienced accelerated progress towards the MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, and that's another way of judging the progress. To have such strong historical ties with a country such as India, as Trinidad and Tobago has had, and a country which has had such exemplary success on the global stage, is a matter of great pride and inspiration to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Likewise, he says Trinidad and Tobago has much to offer India, including energy, which will be needed for the country's growing population.
Despite our small size, Trinidad and Tobago has much to offer India as well. India's growing population and industrial demands mean that India needs an assured and reliable energy supply. You may have read recently of the blackouts. And Trinidad and Tobago is well placed to meet at least some of India's energy needs. In addition, Trinidad and Tobago is a gateway to the Americas, as the principal was mentioning, of over 600 million people.
Meanwhile, His Excellency Shri Malay Mishra says the impact India has had on Trinidad and Tobago goes far beyond being just a cultural one.
India's contribution to Trinidad and Tobago is not cultural, goes far above being cultural. It is civilizational. Because when India came here, when the ancestors of the present day Trinidad and Tobago people came here, they brought with them the ethos of an entire civilization. And whatever you see today in the society of Trinidad and Tobago have civilizational values. And that is a very important point I am making here, because these values have stood the test of time. They have strengthened the society of Trinidad and Tobago. They have made the society of Trinidad and Tobago stable, absolutely balanced, and this is, I think, the eminent strength of the society of Trinidad and Tobago.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
Wayne Cunningham has a sport report right after the break.
Never leave items like MP3 players, portable DVD players, laptops and briefcases on view inside your vehicle. It is an open invitation for a thief. Don't leave them on show If you cannot take them with you, place them in the trunk of your car. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Football holds a spotlight in our sportscast, just as it was with Match Day 10 in the National Super League. Match Day 11 was affected by rainfall, which forced the rescheduling of a key matchup. It was also a lean day for goals, as only 10 were scored in the 5 matches contested in what has been a bountiful season to date. Wayne Cunningham has a rundown of the scores as well as the latest standings.
Wassa FC got back to winning ways at the expense of fellow Easterners, FC Santa Rosa, as action in the Blink B-Mobile National Super League reached Match Day 11 on the weekend. The Arima squad jumped ahead in the 35th minute through Vernon Mills. But as the second half began, the ever-dependable Darren Lewis leveled the scores. The Watermen grabbed victory through a 65th minute item from Jahan Hernandez. The win kept Wassa in third place, 1 point adrift of former leaders Westside Superstars, whose game versus Real Maracas did not play due to an unfit outfield. At the top are defending champions Joe Public FC, who kept that spot despite being held to a 0-0 draw by third from bottom club Sando. Last year's runners-up Stokely Vale FC of Tobago were also held by a team below them on the points table. Len Mejias opened the scoring in the 5th minute for the Southern champs, Siparia Spurs, but that was cancelled out in 7 minutes by Trevon James. Nathaniel Garcia restored Siparia's lead on the stroke of half-time. They had numerous chances to go further ahead, but instead, it was Stokely Vale's Dion Thomas earning a point for his team with a 68-minute strike. That kept them in 4th spot, but they must be worried as the top 3 begin to pull away. Central outfit Eagles United continues to defy their critics when they eked out a fine away win versus 1976 FC Phoenix in Tobago. Jamal Antoine scored the only goal of the match to vault his team from 8th to 5th spot on the standings. The bottom of the table clash between the Defence Force and Biche United turned out to be a battle of the goalkeepers, with Aaron Ali of Biche and Keston Guy of the Military being outstanding on the day. The Eastern County squad opened the scoring in the 43rd minute through Karen Vincent. A curling second-half free kick from Dexter Thornhill gave the Defence Force a share of the points and kept both teams liming in the relegation zone. The key matchup on Match Day 12 will be at the Wassa Ground in St. Joseph, where the home team will face Westside Superstars on Sunday. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your Wassa bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
Welcome back. The Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority is looking at the decade since its establishment. Celebrating this achievement, the authority is recognizing the service its employees have given. In honor of the occasion, Ramesh Lachmedial, Director General of the TNT Civil Aviation Authority, says under the authority, the local aviation industry has seen much growth and development to world-class standards.
While aviation has existed in Trinidad and Tobago for some time now, an additional sense of pride prevails as it celebrates 10 years since its governing body, the Trinidad and Tobago Civil Aviation Authority, was established. In recognition of this momentous milestone, the authority also seeks to acknowledge those who have played a pivotal role in providing these services over the past decade. Speaking at the Long Service Award ceremony, Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Rujanath Indar Singh, says the Aviation Authority continues to make important strides in providing for the economy.
With the establishment of a global economy, the role of civil aviation has become a critical component to the development of all the sectors of the economy, both in the transportation of cargo and passengers. The impact of civil aviation on the movement of people is evident from the fact that business activity in international trade, finance, and investment is directly dependent on the ability of professionals and technical experts to move quickly and safely from place to place.
Minister Indar Singh took the opportunity to praise the service for its role in supporting the development of trade and tourism in not only Trinidad and Tobago, but the wider region as a whole.
Civil aviation is crucial to the development of the world. Apart from the social benefits of safely transporting people and goods throughout the world, air transport is a global business, which has been one of the main driving forces of economic growth since World War II. It has assumed an integral role in the world economy as a tool for conducting much of the world's business, a foundation for the tourism industry, a catalyst for spin-off industries, and a cost-effective means of distributing goods and services.
Ramesh Lashmedial, Director General of the TNT Civil Aviation Authority, notes the achievements the aviation industry has seen over the years gone by.
This was done in 2000 with the enactment of the Civil Aviation Act 33 of 2000, followed by the Civil Aviation Act of 2001. And I must say, from thinking about where we were then, virtually living in a cowshed, leaking roof, didn't have money to buy paper, no computers, 2 telephones. Our air traffic controllers were working with, second generation equipment and so on. And therefore what we had to do, we had to chart a vision. We had to develop that vision, we had to share that vision, and then we had to make that vision into reality. And today we can see that we have come a long way. Today we work in one of the most modern civil aviation complex in the world. Our employees have had significant adjustments to their compensation packages, and therefore this was not just the work of a few, but it was the work of you all.
Awards for outstanding and long service were presented to employees as part of the authority's incentive programs offered by the organization. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, His Excellency Professor George Maxwell Richards, is urging members of the Defense Force to play their part in taking Trinidad and Tobago forward. He was speaking on the occasion of the Commander-in-Chief Parade at Tetron, where he expressed his concern on the spate of crime in the country over the years.
There has been, over the intervening years, what may be described as a tsunami of crime, for example, and the multiple murders in one day has become a feature of everyday life. This is unacceptable. Some may say that this is a matter for the police and has no place at this afternoon's parade. But I differ. I locate this circumstance in the context of joint Army police patrols, which is a feature of our security system, so that we can get a proper perspective of the role, the proper role that the Defense Force must increasingly play in protecting the nation's sovereignty, which some assume is for sale. Far from it.
His Excellency Professor George Maxwell Richards addressing members of the Defence Force at the Commander-in-Chief Parade. Professor Richards says the Defence Force must consider a review of role and strategy if it is to keep in step with what needs to be done to achieve the massive turnaround which he says is necessary in Trinidad and Tobago.
If a change was ever needed, it is now. But first of all, we must be sure that all members of the force, at whatever level and in every cohort, have the same objective and are totally committed. In this regard, our recruitment policy is critical, and periodic review within the military and civilian personnel attached must be sustained and consistent.
The President is suggesting that each individual be self-motivated if he or she is to contribute to the fulfillment of the mission that has been established for members of the Defence Force, where self-seeking, he says, should not be an option. He adds that members of the Defence Force should be adequately trained and well learned in certain areas in order to effectively function in their capacity.
I would like to see the training of our men and women taken to another and higher level, one in which fluency in languages beyond our region is par for the course. I exhort you to become more familiar with the classics of your profession, including outstanding personalities, understanding more deeply its history and the standards that have been set, so that you may make proper, relevant application of the sound principles that never change, even as you acknowledge the legitimate moral requirements of the present.
Veena Bharat, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 Report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us.